enough for me, and the evidence that is convincing has not been seen by the judges who have determined that there was no fraud.
Okay. Well, I guess our big idea is to go through a lot of this evidence and make commentary on it. You try to explain why you think it's important. I try to explain why I would say it's probably not relevant or like I don't know proper evidence. Okay, so is there any big point you want to talk about first? To get out of the way. Maybe something
Okay.
that's more popular, even.
Yeah. Well, so I'll talk about something real recent.
Okay.
Are you aware of the documentary 2000 Mules?
I did. I looked it up today. I've never heard of it until today, and I thought it was really funny.
Did you watch it?
I did not watch it, no, but I do know the idea. They use geospatial as programming from ACLED to try to figure out what people have been close to voter boxes more than once, and then try to establish what they call mules. And based on the title, I assume they found close to 2,000 of them. Is that right?
No. So okay. So you are aware that cell phone uh
Right.
manufacturers track your phone, like
Your
your
location.
find my iPhone.
Hmm.
They have that data available, and you can purchase that.
Okay.
You can purchase your own data?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You
Legit?
purchase where you can purchase the data they have collected of you. Like that's
Okay.
what advertisers do. That's how they figure out, you
Yeah,
know.
for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a lot of companies will sell your data. That's true.
So that's what this organization, True the Vote, did. They found 2,000 people who they believed to be these mules.
Right.
They collected this. They purchased this data of these people, and let's see. I'm trying to word this correctly. Uh,
Right.
they basically tracked where they went, and they in the election nights in the five swing states, um, they they went from these nonprofit organizations, like like as a hub, and
Mhm.
from there they went to uh all mo- d- all the ballot boxes in those cities that have ballot boxes, which for one, I mean, if you have a ballot box, that's okay, that's a separate thing. But they
Okay.
went to the ballot boxes, and
Wait, so just
and
to clarify, when you're saying they, you're referring to like the
each
2,000 or so.
individuals, yes, the
Okay.
individuals,
Are you saying
the
all
cell
of them
phone
went, or
data,
like a bunch of them did?
the ones that they suspected to be mules, yes.
Like all? Are you saying like 2,000 people went to voting
E-
boxes like on the night of the
Yeah, yeah.
election
Each
counting?
each person, okay. So like, I'll just take one person out of these 2,000 people.
Okay.
This person went from a nonprofit organization,
Right.
uh, in one of those cities, and went to each uh ballot box in like a like a circle, like going one from one to one to the next one to the next one, and stopping there for like a minute or two, and then going the next one and stopping there for a couple minutes or whatever, then going to the next one.
I don't think
Um,
this is doable, yeah.
Wait, did the
and
documentary say there was one specific person that did this?
well, this is this is the data that they collected, and this is
It's my
this is an
understanding they haven't
example of
released
one
the
person.
data anywhere. Like they haven't like pursued prosecution or anything, right?
Well, this is very recent. Like, it was this month.
I know, but like still, they haven't pursued any prosecution. And like, do you know where? I don't think they've released their data. Like, I've been looking at trying to find some of this stuff earlier today. Like, do you like if you seen like a report or something? Maybe you could link. I don't know.
Well,
Like,
I have. Well, so what I was get. Well,
right?
I wasn't finished.
Okay.
Um, so the the so I forget where I was. So
You were saying they're going in a
the
circle, right?
yeah, they went to each ballot box. Um that's what the data shows of the cell phone geolocation tracking, whatever you want to call it. And so each ballot box is required to have a security camera on it,
Okay.
like looking at it.
Was that
Uh,
like when you say that? Are you saying like as a federal rule or like is that specific to any state? Do you know?
well,
Is that like a
I would assume it's a federal. Well,
okay
I t okay. My opinion is they shouldn't even exist to begin with, and I
ballot
think it's
boxes?
illegal for them to be. Yes, I think
Well,
it's
clearly
completely.
you might say it's a bad idea, but I don't think you would. I don't think it's right to say that it's illegal because like if it even falls under law, it'd still be protected, right? Even if you
Well,
think it's a really bad idea.
well, okay, but I am fairly certain. I do not.
Okay.
I am fairly certain that it is under by law required that uh, that the the collection box of votes is required to be secured and have eyes on it at all times. Or
Okay.
if not, it's supposed to be un, untouchable to a reasonable degree. Of course, that's my speculation. I have not looked into that specifically,
Okay.
but um, so the point is, so they found so at those each locations that they saw that they that so this like again this is just one
Hmm.
individual I'm going with this one individual um went to they went and got the security footage of those ballot boxes and they you know went to that timestamp of when they went there and so they saw this person come up with let's say 10 or 5 ballots
Okay.
at a time and just either stuff them all in there at once or just one at a time put them in there. And a lot of them had gloves on and they would take a picture of all the ballots that they were about to put into the box and
Okay.
then they would put them in there one by one and then they would take the gloves off, throw them into the trash can next to the ballot box and then walk off.
So when you're saying they would do this, you're saying they did this multiple times, like the
Yeah, they
same
did
person?
this at every single location.
Okay.
They put 5 or 10 ballots in each one.
Okay. I do want to point out that yeah, like in I looked it up earlier today. It was I think it was 31 out of 50 states do allow people to put in multiple vote-in ballots as long as they're not for yourself. Like you can't like double vote, of course, but like say if you had like an elderly grandparent who couldn't get out of bed, of course, like you're going to be allowed to deliver the ballot. It makes sense. But like
No,
so delivering
absentee
several ballots
ballots,
at once.
you have to have a bearer, and they can't do more than one person at a time. It's illegal to do more.
Okay. What do we know? What state this occurred in?
Well, it occurred in
Do you
let's see, off the top of my head, Arizona,
Arizona?
Illinois, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Um,
So like all the swing states, right?
that's to my knowledge, all of them. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm not sure if I can address this one specific person you're talking about because like I didn't watch I think it's like a 90-minute documentary. I did not
Yeah,
watch the whole thing.
it's not that long. Yeah.
Okay. But I can provide a lot of things like looking at the documentary as a whole and some follow-ups into the producers. Like I had an AP article that was really good on this earlier. I'll link it in the chat right now. And are you familiar with kind of like what AP is? Like they're
Yeah, the
like one of the
Associated
higher
Press.
ups. Yeah. So like they're considered one of the peak standards of journalism. Like, and if you look at pollings, they seem to have a pretty neutral leaning. So just in case you're worried about biases and stuff, it seems to be pretty well checked for it. Um, so AP tried to follow up with tons of things. Yeah, I love AP. I love it too. I'll try to go through them one by one, but they followed up with the creators. That the primary filmmaker being Dinesh D'Souza. I think that's how you pronounce it. Um, hold on.
Are you trying to determine something through association? What?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the
Really?
follow up AP did because like crap, where was it? All right. Well, first off, I want to point out that like the article you linked earlier it was saying that the sheriff of that county in Arkansas was like pursuing voter fraud because of this documentary, but the documentary had nothing to do with it. Like the sheriff pretty clearly said that he wasn't inspired by any documentary stuff.
Wait, Arkansas?
Wait, where was it? It was Arizona. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I know that,
Arkansas didn't have that ballot boxes.
alright, yeah. I know that yeah, True the Vote, like, they had the spokesperson for Trump named Liz Harrington, that was, like, Trump's, official spokesperson. They claimed that True the Vote had solved the murder of a young girl. I know that wasn't true. I don't suppose you've heard of that. The the young girl who was, like,
S
allegedly, helped by the True the Vote
Can you say the
pursuing
name?
legal
I didn't hear.
sorry, like, there was a young girl named Sekaria Tur I think it's Sekaria Turner? It's, pretty hard to spell, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
okay.
Hey, babe.
Well, I go yeah, one of the big claims that, like, fostered attention with True the Vote was they had claimed that I think it was actually the Dinesh how do you say his name?
I think it's D'Souza.
D'Souza, okay. Yeah, he had claimed that they had like, the True the Vote team had successfully assisted in prosecuting the people who had found the the perpetrators of this. I think it was, like, a child death thing, yeah. But, like, they had submitted it 2 months later. Yeah, I read through this earlier, and I'm having so much trouble recalling it. Wow. Alright. But, like, some background information on the guy, the main guy that, orchestrated the documentary. He said some really wacky stuff, like, over the years, just after Obama got into office. He has
Like
been
what?
the cultural left is responsible for causing 9/11,
They are.
and he cited a bunch of things causing it apparently, and, like, one of those things he thought was the cause it was support for same-sex marriage. I don't know why. I don't know how you tie that to 9/11. That seems really weird. He did get um he pleaded guilty to allegations of illegal contributions to a Senate campaign, and then Trump actually pardoned him in 2018. That was kind of cool.
Wait. Back up a second.
Yeah.
Pardon him for what?
So he pleaded guilty to. I'm not sure if it counts as mismanagement of funds or it was some illegal contributions to a U.S. Senate campaign is what it's written as.
Okay.
I'm looking at a separate NPR article, by the way. This is what it is. I guess like a background check. To be fair, like maybe his wacky stuff in the past doesn't have that much bearing on his validity, but as far as I can tell, he has like a past of being a conspiracy theorist, which makes me hesitant to trust the film in the first place. But yeah, like we ought to
Okay.
probably focus on
Does it change the facts though?
what facts.
If so, okay. Well, just hear me out.
Okay.
If a person is wacky
Uh-huh.
and says a bunch of random stuff,
And got arrested for like campaign
sure,
mismanagement, right?
whatever. Just in general, just a wacky person
Yeah.
says a bunch of random things, but then all of a sudden says something that is absolutely true and has
Yeah.
facts to back up with it, and the facts actually do prove that what he's saying is true. Does it really matter the wacky things that he said in the past?
No, you're right, because that would be a fallacy. What's it called? Genetic fallacy. Sorry. Right.
Well, it'd be yeah.
I'm explaining to you why I'm doubtful that that this guy has a lot of credibility. Like
Okay,
as far as I can tell, he does have a
so,
past of
so did you watch the movie?
no.
Okay,
I think it's a nutcase movie. Wait.
well then, like, there's
Okay, but
there's no,
what the
you can't
problem
make you
is,
can't make an argument if you don't if you don't even know
I
what you're
absolutely
talking about.
can because the man hasn't published any of this information anywhere else. He hasn't pursued any form of
He
prosecution.
published it in the movie.
What do you mean he published it in the movie? He said he showed a video camera of a guy putting ballots in a dumpster, like a ballot box, right?
Yeah, the footage is in the film.
Okay, so are you telling me one man putting 10 ballots in a ballot box like dictates that there was mass fraud across the entire United States?
Well, hang on. I'm not saying that.
What
I'm
are you
saying
saying then?
you're saying that he hasn't released the his data, but literally the data is the movie, and you haven't watched it. So
Checkmate.
your
I ha-
argument's
what I ha-
invalid. Sorry.
no, I haven't watched any of Alex Jones's like entire segments or podcasts, but I can tell that he's been saying some crazy stuff. Like what he's saying is
No.
turning the frogs gay. Right? Like
No.
you don't have to watch an entire
Yeah,
movie
well, yeah.
to look at
So
summaries of an
yeah,
argument.
so about the frog skate thing. So
Okay.
you know what that's about?
Why are we getting here?
Yep,
It's
you brought
it's
it up.
about frogs changing sex because of chemicals. It's not accurate to say that anything is
Well, they're
turning
not
frogs
changing.
gay.
No, it wasn't saying they're changing sex. It was saying that they were attracted to the same sex, and so they weren't reproducing anymore. So pretty much, uh, uh, what's the word? Expelled, excommunicated, um, extinct. It made those frogs that species of frogs go extinct, and it pretty much near. And that was because of the chemicals that they were being given.
Okay. I'm not here to talk about Alex Jones. I'm here to talk
Okay,
about.
well, you brought him up, so
Wow.
It was just like to
Zombies.
be a side
What
note.
the fuck?
Okay.
okay,
Ooh,
okay.
that's
So,
an
so
actual
was
one.
that all? Or
No.
I just realized I.
So in an interview on something called the Dan Bongino show, the Dan Bongino show, D'Souza comments that
Bongino.
what True the Vote did was they took the cell phone data on the mules and matched it against the ACLED data on the riders, and guess what? There's a pretty big overlap. But in the film, it's who's Phillips? Yeah, they also cite ACLD, which, like you said, it's a nonprofit research organization. I don't think it's the same when we're talking about like where this guy came from. But when they reach out to ACLAD, they say they haven't had any collaboration with these producers. They haven't like what would you say, like leased out the data to anyone. So it seems like they're lying about that, right? This is in the NPR
Again,
article.
you don't know what the data is. You haven't watched the movie.
Dude, like when you say what is the data, you're not. I'm saying like I'm not. I don't want like a video of one guy dumping a ballot into a box. That's not data. Like that's not what I'm calling it. Like I mean,
There's
look at
2,000
people.
videos of 2,000 people doing that.
They put 2,000 videos of people dumping ballots in a
Yep,
documentary.
okay. So in the movie, there's one section where they had uh where you have like one video on one spot of the screen and another
Okay.
video, and it was all 2,000 of them all on the same screen.
They put
And like,
2,000 videos on one screen.
well, okay,
Wait,
they
how many
started with
pixels are on a
one.
screen?
They started with one, and then they zoomed out, and then it had like six of them, and then they zoomed out even more, and then
So this panoramic, like this pan of people putting box like votes in a ballot box. That's enough for you to think like the whole thing is fraudulent? Like I'm not sure you can even fit a single pixel for each video on a screen.
well, again, you haven't watched the movie, so you don't know what the
Right.
arguments are.
So
You're
tell me
going based
what
off
the
of
arguments are then, all
you're
right?
going based off of NPR, which is a
Okay.
hit piece.
So tell me what the arguments are. Like line them out.
Okay, well, let me collect my thoughts for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
So, so these, so this, so for example,
Mhm.
there's one very compelling one of this lady
Okay.
who pulls up uh to one ballot box, and behind a pillar that she wouldn't have seen or known was there, if she just was just randomly going up there and didn't know anything about this place. Um, there's a trash can,
Uh-huh.
and um, it's right next to the ballot box. So she goes straight up to the ballot box with gloves on. It has 5 ballots in her left hand, and takes them one by one, puts them into the ballot box. Then she takes her gloves off, and then turns around immediately to the trash can where she wouldn't have seen it or known that it was there unless she knew beforehand that it was there. And
Sorry, the trash can?
yes, the trash can, and threw the
You
gloves right into the trash can. So that to
wait,
me is
she
very
doesn't know that the trash
suspicious.
can
For
is
one,
there? What?
she she wouldn't have known unless she knew beforehand that it was there
What do you mean beforehand?
before she went up to the ballot box.
Is it not possible she saw this trash can while
The,
she's
the
like
way Okay, the angle that
what?
she was walking up to, it was behind a pillar, and she wouldn't have seen it unless she knew it was there beforehand. Is what I'm saying. And she didn't look over to see it. Like it wasn't in like her peripheral
Okay,
vision or
that
anything.
I gotta say that seems really flimsy as far as you could like point to evidence.
But
You said that's like
the
like
point
one of the more
is
compelling ones.
the point is, why would somebody walk up to a ballot box with 5 ballots, drop off 5 ballots, which is illegal, by the way,
Wait, no, it's not. You can.
and then just take off the gloves and immediately go to a trash can, which you didn't see beforehand, and throw the gloves off in there.
You
It's just
absolutely can deposit more than one ballot.
it's just a little bit suspicious, for one,
Yeah,
and that's
but
just one
if
video.
you say it's a little bit suspicious, like I imagine that's like one of the most prominent ones because it's like your biggest point, right?
No, it's not. I mean,
Okay.
there's so many like that.
Well, I assume if they have like 2,000 instances, they're gonna lead with their best foot, right? Like they want to draw views and get
Yeah,
attention.
that's one of the
And if they're one
best
of their
ones, and
best examples of there being something suspicious is a woman like I don't know, dunking on a trash can when she shouldn't know it's
another
there. I don't like that doesn't
another
seem like
one.
evidence.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to calm down for a second because
Okay.
you're getting a little heated. So, the another one that was very compelling was this person with a dog.
Okay.
Who he walks up and there's a line of people going into the poll location to vote, in person. And
Okay.
so this person, stops and takes all of his ballots out and starts putting them in there. And then someone notices that he's doing that and starts questioning him, like saying, "Hey, man, like, what are you doing? Like, you're dropping a bunch of ballots off. That's a little weird, don't you think?" Or there's no audio, so you don't know like actually what he's saying, but you can see he's confronting him, and the guy looks at him and doesn't say anything, and then he just walks off. And
What?
I believe this one he also had gloves on and threw them in the trash can.
Wait. So like, what's the suspicious part of this?
This is okay. Again, it is illegal
Wait, no,
to
it's
be the
not.
bearer for more than one person in an
Hold on.
absentee vote.
I want to stop and make. I want to fact check
I
this
know
because like
this. I know this because I asked the election commissioner here.
okay, but that's
W-
specific to
No,
your state, right?
no,
Like
it's specific to law. You can't vote for more than one person as a bearer for an absentee vote.
many of these states limit this provision to a family member
You can
household.
you can help more. You can help, I believe, up to 6 people if they're family members, to
Okay.
to fill out their ballots, but you can't drop them off for more than one person.
Oh yeah, could you link the doc? Like, do you have like a link to the documentary that we could? I think some people are eager to see it.
Yeah, yeah. Let me find it.
It's called 2,000 Mules, right?
Yes, I have it. Just give me a second.
Okay. Oh yeah. Another point you bring up is like we don't. It's very hard to investigate like the ballots dropped in a video. Like we can't tell if they're actually ballots or like just slips of paper, right? Like what
It
else do we
wouldn't.
have
The ballot box
information?
would not accept them if it was not a ballot.
Okay. Maybe we should just look at. I'm not sure if we should get into it because I know it would take a long time. Maybe we should just look at the videos.
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love it if you watched the movie.
Okay.
You want to stream it?
I mean, I'm not really trying to watch a 90-minute movie like during this argument. I'm sure we could go back to
I
it.
mean,
Oh
we can't really have a debate
my
about something if you
god.
haven't watched it.
True.
Well, sure I can.
Wait.
Okay, you can
Wait, no,
have a
you
debate
can't.
about it, but
This
you
is
won't know
dumb.
what
This
Okay,
is
you won't know
so
dumb.
I
what it
think
is
this is a
until
picture of
you
what you're
actually
talking
play
about,
it.
like the 2,000 or so.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's
So are we basing the fraud on this picture? Like,
that's a misinterpretation. Like that's
okay.
just a complete blatant misrepresentation of
Okay, like so in the movie,
everything.
they don't go over all of them, right? Like they show a handful of what
They
they
show
I
the
imagine the
most
leading
they
cases.
show the most what do you call it? Like
The most
the
believable, like
like blatantly obvious. Oh, okay, this
blatantly
person's
obvious. Okay.
stuffing a
Okay,
ballot box.
even so if I imagine they led with their most compelling videos, right? Like based on what you described, it doesn't sound like that would come anywhere close to a standard of proof to believe that they're like fabricating ballots in the first place. And even if they were like a handful of people fabricating ballots, I don't think we could establish that as being like non-negligible on the effects of the election.
All right, so hang on. I'm trying to scrub through the video. You're gonna have to summarize that again.
It's like already gone from my head.
Sorry.
Okay. Um,
I wasn't trying to ignore you, I just didn't
yeah,
actually
yeah,
hear what you're
it's
saying.
fine. Yeah, it happens. Dissociation. Yeah. Um, I was saying, like, I presume they led with their most prominent cases, the most compelling cases they could show on video. And based on what you described like a man walking off after someone talks to him, and then a woman that I don't know, kind
Well,
of dunks on a
again, they
trash
have
can
again,
without supposing they don't get spare.
from the start
Right.
of this discussion, the True the Vote organization, paid paid to get the cell phone data of these
The
people,
LED. Well, I mean, well, let me double check this one more time.
and so the nonprofit organizations that they were coming out of w were, um, was actually it was so it's what I was getting at. They were one of the places was raided by local police in Arizona,
Okay.
and they spilled the beans.
So when NPR, like I was talking about the NPR investigation earlier. So, uh, crap, what is his name? De Souza. Okay, De Souza. Like he in an interview he shows that they're using the ACLED database. That's the what's that acronym? The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. But like NPR reaches out and they speak to Sam Jones, who is the senior communications manager at ACLED, and he says that in quotes, "This is not the type of analysis you can use ACLED data for, and it is highly unlikely that these conclusions have any basis in fact. This is not what we do. We do not track device IDs." That's end
Here's
quote.
the article of
Okay.
the nonprofit being raided.
Okay, but wait, the sheriff himself. I looked at this earlier. I thought we talked about this like in chat. Let me get the exact quote because I even put it in a fancy text because it was so important. Point right up. Like the sheriff that did this, he made it very clear that he was not trying to, or he wasn't inspired by any. Crap, oh, that's a link. Oh no, what have I done? Yeah, here's the article they're actually talking about in the article that you linked is like it seems to be more credible than this. They reached out to the sheriff himself, Sheriff Wilmot, I believe it was. Yeah, Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot, and he clarifies like pretty clearly that he's not familiar with these people, or nor is he familiar with their. Crap, I just
Okay.
sent that to the wrong place.
Also, by the way, wait, actually,
Yeah, right. He says, "I'm not familiar with, nor have I ever communicated with any individuals who may not be claiming that I'm investigating on their behalf, or because of any supposed inspiration from a documentary film."
Okay. But does that change the fact that he is investigating these nonprofit organizations?
No, he's investigated. Like he hasn't found anything yet, as far as we know. Wait, what does him investigating nonprofit organizations have to do with the film or
Well,
like the claims of the film?
that's these are the places where they got the ballots from.
All right, can you like I'm having a hard time believing that. Is there a like where did you is it in the article you linked just now? Is that it? Is
Well,
it
I mean, it doesn't seem like the articles that I and the um, data that I provide you really care to humor. So
well, yeah,
I have
I'm trying to look at it. Like,
I have provided evidence.
is there any point in it which they show that the investigations performed by that sheriff are like related to this?
Well, frankly, I don't think it matters whether or not it is related to the movie itself. It's the fact that what it's related to is the Arizona fraud that happened on 2020,
Wait, like I'm not even sure what he's
which
investigating.
is why he's investigating in the first place.
I know, like I looked earlier that I can find a press release. I know the sheriff placed this. Like the sheriff put out a press release describing like voter fraud. Like they're just showing that hey, we're investigating these cases of voter fraud. If you have any info, contact us. Like I don't think they've even mentioned what nonprofits they're pursuing.
Well, I mean, that would kind of give away some valuable investigating
Well, yeah. So like
information, wouldn't it?
say a sheriff like declares he's going after some nonprofits and then D'Souza like in his film claims, hey, there were some nonprofits we think these guys came from. Like you can't link these two together. Like just assuming that there are some nonprofits. Like it's such a loose thing to say that this sheriff is investigating these. Therefore, they're actually the same nonprofit organizations. They're fraudulent. And therefore, the people that came from there who dumped the stuff in the box, they're cheating the election. It's a big jump to make that. Like, as far as I can tell, like they don't. There has been no record of the producers even using AC LED data. And if they did, they haven't released anything to the public. They haven't like shown their findings in data. They've shown videos of a handful of videos of people dumping ballots off that they think look suspicious, but that doesn't dictate anything close to proof. Like we can't make conclusions based on that.
All right.
Hi there. Okay, where do we go from here? I don't know.
I don't know.
We agree to disagree.
Make out.
Wait,
And
no.
if I'm not mistaken, these pings actually they're important because they only occur if the person goes within 100 feet of a ballot box, and that could mean a lot of things. Like ballot boxes are typically placed in places in public of like high traffic in order to make it easier to access. So it would make sense that a lot of people might even pass the boxes without even going there. Assuming that this geospatial tactic is like the same that they've described using from the producers. Like this only approximately tracks the people to within 100 feet or so of the ballot boxes, and we can't like verify, of course, without going through the video. Like, so when they released the documentary, right? They didn't even did they like link all the videos connected, or did they do anything else following up? Is it like maybe a sources or something that you know of?
If you consider the brazenness of this, right?
Links to the
Sorry,
documentary.
I'm trying to find the election rules of absentee ballots.
Okay.
Um,
Well, yeah, just to be clear, they do vary by state. I think I had it pulled up
Yeah.
earlier. If I can find it. Yeah, I found the National Conference of State Legislatures ballot Dropbox laws. I'll put that in VC next. It varies. It can vary widely from states. Yeah, like even the definition of Dropbox for some reason varies in different states, which is kind of strange.
yeah, because it's shady as fuck.
What states having different names for stuff isn't shady.
Having
That's
a
really common
Dropbox
practice.
to just drop your votes off with the only security or verification being, oh, this is a security camera, is shady. At the very least.
Wait, do you mind if I interject a little bit with a few things? Anyway.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. So, one, I don't know why that would be shady. If they can just like verify whether the ballots are real, right?
That's true.
Because you can just do that.
If we know where the ballot boxes are, right? Like we can definitely pursue that.
Yeah, we could
Right,
just. Like,
I say we
what,
as if I'm in the
yeah,
crew
what
or
they,
something, but
yeah,
like
what
yeah.
they do is like.
What is verifying the ballot being quote real?
So you
like?
can't just the reason you can't just submit fake absentee ballots, right? Just like print out a fake one and then just submit it, right? Is because they have like unique IDs basically, which is like a specific like number that's given to a ballot for registered voters, right? So what's kind of like important to note, right, is like we can't just literally just make like fake ballots, right? Because they have to have specific numbers for registered voters, right? Which are given out by the state. So the plausible way you could do that is just like steal people's, right? Or like get dead people that haven't been registered, right? And this is like a possible way you could do voter fraud. But I would probably put the burden of proof on you to say that like dead people are making up such a significant, like we are not accounting for so many dead people that it's making up such a significant amount of votes that it would have like changed the election, right? Because it could be possible that dead people could make up like an incredibly tiny, like minute amount like votes that were given in, right? But it's possible that they make up some, I guess, right?
Or people who are not citizens, or their citizenship is questionable at best.
People who aren't citizens can't be registered voters.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. I mean, you're not able to vote in a national election. There are some counties that allow local election participation, even if you're not an American citizen. But however, yeah, it's almost impossible for non-citizens to vote in national elections. Like there's a lot of verification. That's also Buddy Sonder did pick up on the point that I forgot to mention earlier. The sheriff has been investigating those claims of voter fraud for over a year. And the film just came out like this month. Like there has been a very long ongoing investigation that isn't affected at all by the film, and it's not because of not only is it not because of the film, but like that has no bearing. Their findings have no bearings on the sheriff's investigation. The sheriff is already just investigating stuff, right?
Sure. It doesn't change the fact that he's investigating voter fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single dude, this was the most closely observed investigation of an election in like U.S. history. I think was it a joint council, including like the CISA and the FBI. They made this joint statement saying they called it the most secure election in history, in U.S. history. There was a lot of like there were thousands, maybe millions of claims being pursued by investigative services. What?
Considering that we've never had a secure election in well over 100 years, I mean that's not really saying much.
Okay, well, again, problem being that the main point you bring up for voter fraud, right, is like, oh my god, like they just drop off a bunch of fake ballots or like dead people's ballots, right? And it's like pretty burden of proof-ish. Like burden of proof is on you to prove that like dead people's ballots are making up that we have like unaccounted for so many dead people that their ballots are making up a significant amount of like registered voters, right? A significant enough amount even to like change the outcome of an election, right? Which you're just kind of positing that it might or that it does, which I just don't know if I see proof of like anywhere, right?
Well,
yeah,
I will say that the movie that you have refused to watch.
Wait, do you think Trump being under investigation for like collusion with Russia means that he
Hang on.
Let him speak real quick.
Hang on. So
Yeah, go ahead.
so it goes into calculations of just the 2,000 people that they've followed, and just assuming that all 5 or 10 of those ballots per person were for Biden, which let's just say they are.
Okay.
That is significant enough alone to swing the election for Biden.
Sorry. And real quick, we're also assuming that these ballots are real and have been counted, right?
Yeah.
And that these are not just the 3 video clips they showed, but the entire 2,000 that they refused to show.
2,000. It's just assume that that the videos and the evidence and the just the data they have on just one individual and another individual is the same for all 2,000. Let's just assume that it's true.
Wait. Yeah. What I'm asking is,
that's a pretty big assumption.
Yeah. That one obviously a huge
just
assumption.
For a moment, assume.
Real quick, Tommy, tell me. Do they have evidence that like the ballots being put into like these ballot boxes are real and are being counted, like are registered voters?
Say that again.
Do they have evidence that these ballots that are being put into those ballot boxes, right? They're being like mass dumped or whatever by mules, are actually like registered voters and do count towards the vote?
Now that I don't know.
Well, that's the most important part. Because people could just be dropping off fake ballots, right?
It's not like a post office drop box. It's like a machine. It tabulates the vote. So like
but even the machine tabulating votes still has to check for unique ID. So if someone were like dropping off something that were fraudulent, like the machine would pick it up, right?
It has to accept the ballot.
So like none of these might. So there's also a chance that none of these would have even gone through. Like the machine wouldn't have registered them because like they're not unique.
Well, if that happens, it spits it back out. It doesn't allow it to go through.
Okay.
It's a tabulator machine.
Isn't that like a really good failsafe for this though?
You would think.
Why wouldn't you think?
Well, if you watch the movie.
Gotcha. Wait. So you're positing that?
You mean why should I watch the movie? They don't present data anywhere. They're just showing 3 video clips of people that they think are suspicious.
Yeah,
and then you're drawing from that the entire
clarify.
U.S. election was fraudulent.
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted. All that was just based.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that we're assuming like okay, in all of these clips, and I might be wrong. I mean, I haven't watched the movie. That in all of these clips, it is like a tabulator machine or whatever that does, in fact, that we know about every single one of these clips, does actually like spit the vote back out and doesn't just take it and not count it. And we're assuming that all of these votes were for Biden. And assuming all of these really, really heavy assumptions that we don't have any data on, it's possible with certain calculations made, possible that the election outcome could have been swayed. Like, do you see where like a lot of people are probably having an issue here?
Well, absolutely, that's a large claim, and I
Right.
alone cannot back that up the
It
same way
seems like
that the
sorry,
people
go
who
ahead.
have collected the data can.
But the people that have collected the data refuse to share the data. They made a documentary which they seem to only show about 3 clips, and from what you've described, don't even seem very suspicious. And even if those 3 people, we could assume had like 10, if they each had thousands of votes, that would be enough to even proportionally sway like the U.S. election. If they had information, like they would give this to prosecutors, right? And not only that, they would make this information publicly available. Maybe after they made the film. I mean,
Why would
of
they
course,
do
you
that?
want to get a breaking story of like, hey, we have this huge mountain of evidence. We have
Why would they
thousands
do
of
that?
videos.
Why would they do that before giving it to a court of law?
Why would they do what before giving it to a court?
Why would they expose their evidence before giving it to the court of law?
Well, you're saying that's what they did when they made this film, right?
I'm saying that that the majority of the data, the video, the film data that they have is in the movie.
Hey, but like as I said, they after claiming they use AC LED, which by the way, if they use AC LED, that can't confirm that each person like marked by this system would have been like a ballot dropper. But even if every single person used by that, like the ACLD themselves, like the chief director, sorry, what was his name is Sam something. They clarified that the producers had never reached out to them. And that the ACLD can't even be used in this way. Like they haven't lent out their registry to anyone.
Well, okay. Well, I would like to restate this is not a debate for 2,000 mules. It's a debate for 2020 election fraud.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I'd be
but you're
happy to talk about other points.
yeah,
This is
you're
And
this is
only
like our
having
biggest
access to
point.
I've
2,000 mules, yeah.
only brought up 2,000 mules because it's a very compelling argument to me.
Oh, barely not.
Yeah, Saunders just has been quoting from the NPR a lot. And if anyone wants to read that, go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Sandra.
So,
Okay. Is there any other big point you want to talk about then? I imagine you've got several.
well, there's ESNS and Dominion.
Okay. And what seems to be the problem with them?
Oh, there's lots of problems with them.
Like what?
We just had a primary election
Okay.
in our county, and we have ESNS machines. Let's see. So this county is required to use ESNS machines. They are not they are
Okay.
not allowed to do any other type of voting required by the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State signed a contract with or I believe the county is required to sign the contract with ESNS. Um and they're beholden to the Secretary of State on that. Um to use ESNS machine systems for the voting machine that prints out the paper ballot, and then for the tabulator machine that doubles as a ballot box.
Okay.
Along with I think it's Voter View, or I don't think it's ESNS that has the Voter View software that checks your voter registration, but that's also a machine that so when you get your ballot, so I'll walk you through. So you walk into the poll place. This is how it works here, and you give them your photo ID.
Okay.
They look you up on Voter View, I believe is the software is what it's called, and if you voted before, if you voted already, then it shows that and you can't get a ballot. But if you did not vote, then they give you a blank ballot, and they stamp onto it a barcode that has the it's what they tell us is the precinct data that you live in, the precinct you live in.
Okay.
And so you take that into the uh, voter machine. You plug that paper ballot into the the screen, the touch screen, and then your voting options pop up, and you can tap this candidate, that candidate, and then you click done, and then it prints it out. It prints out the results onto the paper ballot, and pops it out, and you can take that paper ballot and you put it into the tabulator machine, and it gobbles that up and puts
Mhm.
it into the locked ballot box under that tabulator machine. And from there, they have the lock, the key to unlock it. But then also they have a thumb drive that given to them from ESNS
Right, that copies the data.
that puts that puts the data onto
But to be clear,
onto the
like the
thumb
ballots
drive.
are still present, right?
The paper ballots are in the ballot
They're still
box.
available.
Um, and so so all of it is from ESNS, and you cannot inspect the machines without a representative from ESNS to do that for you. You
Right.
cannot
Yeah.
as the county, you cannot open the machines. Only
Yeah, because
ESNS can
if
open the machines.
the count, I mean, of course, I'm sure they want to have a spokesperson there in case there were some issue. Like let's say a county clerk miscounted and blamed it on the machines. Of course, they're going to have someone to be there. Like it's just liability reason.
Right. And so
Don't you think that's sensible?
a claim that was made is
Okay.
that these machines are never connected to the internet. That's actually like rammed a lot. It's like, oh, there's no internet here. Nothing's connected to the internet. When it's just for one, the voter view program is connected to the internet, so it's just already false. Um, Two, we can't verify if the machines can connect to the internet or not because we cannot open them independent from ESNS to verify that.
Okay, but wouldn't you agree that
We cannot
anytime
input
if
that.
we have to question like if the machine tallies match the vote count, like they're able to just get a person there and then just count the ballots, right? Make sure it verifies. If
That
there's
is
some doubt about it, can't we just verify it with the paper ballots?
It's unrelated to the point.
But well, like if you are you suggesting that that these voting machines will change change the reported outcome?
I mean, it's a possibility.
Okay, but if that were the case, if there were any reason to doubt it, we can always just go back and count paper ballots, which it seems like a lot of the cases did happen. People question machines that you can go back, the ballots are still there, even if you have to have one of the spokespersons for the company of the sorry, is it ESNS? Is that right?
The ESNS and Dominion are
Yeah.
the two.
Even if you have a Dominion or ESNS representative present, like they're not allowed to touch the ballots. You can just count the paper ballots, make sure they match up. If they don't, you can pursue legal action with the counting. You would definitely find some discrepancy.
Do you understand? I'm not talking. That's not the point I'm making.
Then what is the point you're making?
The claim is that the machines do not connect to the internet.
Who's making that claim?
Voting
I'm
machines.
not.
The election off the ESNS.
Well, even if they can't connect to the internet, like we have ways to like a failsafe to check that. We just count the paper ballots, and if there's any reason to doubt that, we have the opportunity to count them. Like I don't see what the problem is.
The point is they're lying.
Who's lying?
ESNS.
ESNS?
Yes.
Like, do they have on their front page that like it doesn't connect to the internet?
I mean, I haven't visited their website, but
I haven't either. I don't know. I'm not sure what.
the claim
Well,
is
it's not a claim I'm making, so I don't know.
it is okay. The election commission officers that I've talked
Okay.
to
Right.
stress the claim that no machine here is connected to the internet, which is just a false claim. and 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 uh and they are given the information from the Secretary of State, whom is also given the information from ESNS.
Wait,
That is
so
what they're told
when you're saying connected to the internet,
for
do
the
you mean
chain of
like a
command.
program that you get from the internet that runs like using interconnection, or like
I
I
don't
mean like
know.
what?
They don't
I don't
go
know
into
either.
detail because
Okay.
because they're also they are incompetent. The election commissioners, the officials,
Why do you say that?
because I've talked to them.
Okay.
They don't know how any technology works.
Well, yeah, I mean, I imagine they're really what'd you call it?
Well, they're
Specialized teams that they're involved in checking these any kinds of
well the ones
details in
here
computers.
they're like well they're like over their 50s and they
Okay,
do
yeah,
not
that's, they
they're
probably
just
don't understand technology.
they
Yeah.
just don't yeah they're just not clued into how computers work. Um, so that's what I'm saying there. But the point is, they have been told that none of the machines are connected to the internet, and
Okay.
so w- that whoever told them that is lying, and that's a
Yeah,
big
I
deal.
I guess so. But
And
even if they do connect to the internet, like there are ways of securing internet access, right? I don't even think
right,
they are connected, but
but what's the
like
point
what
of
reason have we to
what's
believe
the
that
point?
these are what's the vulnerable?
Right, what's the point of using the thumb drives to count the votes if there's all these holes and
Well, I
possibilities
wouldn't
of
call
it
this
going
holes.
wrong
Like
when you
these
can just use the
possibilities
paper
have to
ballot?
line up so much. Like, of course, there's going to be like very minute possibilities of election fraud in almost every case, but like to say that this is a widespread problem or that it happened in mass amounts is absurd. Like, what reason would we have to think that it happened in mass amounts?
Well, look, that's not again, that's not the argument I'm making here.
What's the
The
argument then?
argument I'm making here is that we
That
can't
one of
trust this
that the election official you
company.
talked to was wrong about something? It happens.
She
Like
was wrong about a
some
lot of
people.
things
Okay,
actually,
some
but
people are not informed on specifics.
well,
But I don't think
the other
we can take that and
the
say
things
you
she's been
you were wrong about
wrong
something.
about
Okay.
are not just because of information that she's been given incorrectly. That's not why she was wrong about a lot of things. But the point that I'm making here is that we can't trust these companies because it is uh, it's it's proprietarized, if that's a word, to the point of we can't even know what's in what's how what it even is, what's in
We
there.
do still have access to the verifiable ballots. Like, so the machine runs a tabulation of the ballots. We still have the ballots. We can, if we need to, we can check the ballots and make sure they line up. And in every case that we can, like there wasn't big enough discrepancy to warrant a lawsuit or that we question these machines, right?
I don't understand what you're saying there.
Okay, so like imagine a machine that's tabulating things, sways things in favor of Biden, like you've been suggesting they might. If this happens, people are looking very closely at this election. They might demand a recount. So we can look at the ballots. We can verify if the proportion of Biden versus Trump, maybe some other independent parties, and if that varies wildly from what the machines report, we can check that. Like that's something verifiable. The machines have a method of being checked for that, right?
Checked of seeing if the vote switched.
Yes.
Well, not if it's been tabulated already,
What do you mean not if
because
what if
because it's anonymous. It's anonymous votes. Like
what when you say
it,
anonymous, like you mean like there's no name on it, right?
there's no name on the ballot.
But we still have the ballots. We don't need the names to verify like this one's for Biden, this one's for Trump, right?
Well, yes.
Like I don't think the anonymity would be a problem there. We still
Okay.
if we still have access to the ballots. I mean, at that point, there aren't any filters like on the tabulation machines that would cause any ballots to be in different
Right.
sections.
This is assuming that the printed out ballot is correct.
Printed out like from the tabulation machine.
No, from the voting machine.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean with the voting machine?
the voting machine that you put your ballot in first, and then you touch the screen to vote, and then it prints out what you voted for on the paper ballot.
Okay.
It's assuming that the printout is correct.
Are we talking about like the Dominion voting machines or like
Both ESNS and
both?
Dominion.
Okay,
It's either.
because I believe the FBI did an extensive investigation into Dominion.
Okay, I can just tell you that in this election, there's many cases of people in this county actually
Yeah.
who have voted for someone in one race, and it printed out. It did not print out what they voted for
Wait, how do they know?
because they checked it.
They checked it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they looked and they saw it, and it's like, I didn't vote for that.
When you say they check it, like they get a piece of paper, is that what you're saying? And they look at it, and it's not what they pressed on the paper.
Were you listening when I said the ballots? When I said about the voting process?
Okay. Well, like, what reason have we?
Sorry to sound
You're
rude,
saying
but
you know a lot of people that had their votes switched, but like, if I just don't believe you, like, how would I be? How might I be convinced? Like, what evidence do we have of it?
well, again, like this individual that I'm thinking of right now, she didn't know exactly what to do, so she just tabulated the vote and didn't think anything of it because she doesn't really vote often, and she didn't know what to say or what to do. She didn't know that she could bring that
All
up.
right. She saw that
to-
she voted for the wrong person, and then didn't do anything about it.
That's what she told me.
Okay, wait. Sorry, is there proof of this like occurring in mass or whatever? Besides, like,
Yes,
hey,
but
like, I have some friends.
so that's the person that I know personally, but I've heard of other counties that
Okay.
have
Well,
the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I
Sorry,
can simply
heard
counter
of.
this by saying I know a person that had their vote tabulated correctly. Therefore, there was no look. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, sorry. I just want, like proof of this occurring in mass. Besides, like, I've heard of stories and stuff. If you have it, of course.
Hang on. I have something on it. I gotta find it.
Okay.
I was not prepared for a formal debate.
Anecdotal
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. So I am finding the FBI did launch some probes of Dominion voting machines in Colorado. There was a suspected security breach. I haven't read through the whole article yet. I do know that the FBI has launched investigations. I don't know if they found anything yet. I don't think they have.
Well, the FBI isn't really
Trust for
interested in
the
finding that.
what? Well, they're required like to pursue every
By whom are they required to
the
do that?
government. Like, it's their jobs. Like, do you think they just don't? What do you think the FBI does? The Federal Bureau of Investigation. They investigate.
Right.
Do you think they
That's
just
their
opt
that's
not to investigate stuff they don't want to?
that's their duty. Yes.
What?
So, is there any other arguments here?
I'll pull up some announcements from some people, I guess.
I was told you had a presentation.
I
I
do.
was waiting for that.
Sure. I'll at least bring up some of the points for the presentation. The FBI director, who was appointed by Trump, he testified in Congress in September of 2020 that the agency had not historically seen any kind of coordinated national voter fraud in a major election, and he also insisted there was no evidence of major foreign intervention. And then, really big one was the joint statement I talked about earlier from the Election Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council, really long name. And that's the CISA Assistant Director and the National Secretaries of State, and then a handful of other smaller companies, or not companies, organizations in the U.S. government. And they called the election the most secure in American history, like I said, which I suppose you think that all of elections are fraudulent, but not just the 2020. So, like, you think that's not important. one of their closing statements was that in quotations, while we know there are many unfounded claims and opportunities for misinformation about the process of our elections, we can assure you we have the utmost confidence in the security and integrity of our elections, and you should too. Also adding that there is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. And some months later, the then U.S. Attorney General William Barr also corroborated this statement, saying, "To date, we had not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome on the election." And also, I don't know if this is important, but Chris Krebs, who helped make that joint statement from the CIA, was like almost immediately fired by Trump upon saying that there was no fraud, which is this seems kind of messed up, but like I guess we can't really tie it to anything. But like I agree with Mason that there seems to be a burden of proof on you to show that there is like reason to believe that these machines are not only possibly flawed, but that have been like hacked or manipulated in some way to change votes, or that there is some other form of manipulation that we can show.
Can I respond to that point?
Yeah.
So, have you heard of Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium?
The guy that made the My Pillow and sold it for $40. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, not much.
Yeah, it was like I think it was 3 days. It was like it was
Didn't
it
he
was
get
like a
like sued for
week-long
defamation?
stream. What?
Didn't Mike Lindell get like sued for or no? Was it just Sidney Powell? They got sued for
Again, what does the background of the individual have
because
to
of
do with
Dominion
the
vote.
fact that they're
No, it's not. This is actually relevant. Like it's not just background. Like he got sued for defamation of Dominion voting machines. I think. I know Sidney Powell is facing litigation for that.
right
I think she
because
might have
she
lost
made
already.
a forensic image of a hard drive that she
No,
granted may not have
because all
had permission to do
investigative
so, but
no, because all investigations like showed that there was not anything warranting what she was trying to say. It includes in trying to proceed this in court, like trying to prosecute this, like there wasn't enough evidence at all to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Like she's getting countersued for defamation because she makes a big claim. Yeah, My Pillow CEO sued for defamation by former Dominion voting employee.
right here. Okay, again. I wasn't making an argument about that forensic image. I
Nor was I.
During the stream, he had going on uh the um the voting machines.
Okay.
Like a what do you call it? Like a faux election.
What?
Like a simulated election.
Mock election?
Yeah, the mock election. I
Okay.
forgot what it was called.
Wait.
Uh,
I'm not exactly. He did what? He simulated an election. Like, how did that work?
yeah, you had the machines.
How did he get access to? I guess he bought some Dominion voting machines and then tried them out.
Yeah.
I thought you said they needed to be operated by one of the employees, like to be open or whatever. Or is that just E and SS? ES and S. I mean, wait, what exactly did he do?
The point is the system of how the voting is done. Doesn't matter if it
Okay.
was if it was Dominion or ASNS machines themselves. It's the process of how
Okay.
the voting is done.
Well, like, did he show that there was some error in the process? If so, how?
Yes.
Well, how did he show an error? Like,
Because
what
it
is the
goes
error?
because the final voting goes onto a Windows 7 computer or Windows 10 computer.
So, what does
Because
that
it's
have to do
very
with
easily
it?
hacked.
Okay, so you're saying that like all computers are hacked. Therefore, if you have information on a computer, it is not trustworthy. Is that the claim? Because that'd be really stupid. If that's what you're saying.
Well, I mean, if you want to make my arguments for me, then I guess it's not a debate.
All right. So like, why do you bring up that it's on a computer? It's Windows 10. It's easily hackable. Like that doesn't make any sense to point that out. Every computer is compromised. Yeah. Why? I'm getting upset. Sorry.
You really are, and it's kind of discouraging.
Okay. Why do you think voting results being on a computer is a problem?
because I don't trust
Giggle.
computers.
All of them? Like, so just if we have results on a computer, like, so just to clarify, we can still check the ballots that show up on the computer, right? So if there were some discrepancy, we could double check, right?
We can check the ballots if
Yeah.
if the person came in verified as a registered voter and voted for themselves with the ballot and verified that their ballot is what they voted for. Yes.
Okay. Run it back a bit. So computers, I mean, vote tally machine, Dominion voting machine. He puts some data in, some ballots in, and he checks the computer values. Like, does he even check to see if the computer values tabulating the votes match what he put in?
Well, I mean, I'm bringing this up as, I guess, an anecdote because it's been a
Well,
while since I watched
well,
it.
surely you understand like anecdotes are a really bad method of evidence, right?
I wasn't using this as a point of evidence, as I was using it as a point of example,
What,
showing that that it could easily be shown that there's flaws in the system
but
of how the voting
what
is
you're
done.
describing as a flaw is it's on a computer, which all computers can be hacked. Like that's not a flaw. That's just a
That is a flaw.
well, like all paper ballots can be burned. Like, would you consider that to be a flaw?
No, that's actually security. Um,
Well, if we secure a computer with like every possible firewall, isn't that enough?
Okay, and really important, okay? One, obviously, there's a good point to be made that yeah, computers aren't just literally like anyone could just hack any computer at any time, lol. Obviously not. But two, something important to point out is like saying like, bro, I just don't trust computers, bro. Like I mean,
do
there's
you?
got to be fraud. Like I just don't trust them. Like that's not proof of fraud. That's just saying maybe there's fraud, maybe, right? I don't know. Like that doesn't really get us anywhere, right?
Again, that wasn't that I've provided evidence
Of what?
of that
You just
that
give
you can look
examples.
into.
You just give examples of
You give
machines like
evidence that
failing
the
or whatever.
results show up on a computer.
Yeah,
That's not like
and
evidence of a flaw.
No, I get there's a it
What's the
again,
example?
you have not watched the movie.
I don't care.
damn.
I'm not watching it. It's so stupid, and nothing you can say backs anything up about it. The movie is useless if it has no data to back it up. You're showing 3 video clips,
Okay, so you're
like presumably
closed-minded.
short. Bro, I
Um,
think you're just stupid.
I just want to chime in
Right.
a little bit
You're
and
just
say
gonna
that
ad hominem attacks. I
No,
was
I'm not
being
saying
very
you're
civil
wrong
here,
because
and
you're
you
stupid.
just
I'm saying you're just stupid.
And you're wrong.
That's
Yes.
I just wanted to
what you
chime in
wanna
and say that
say.
I think that watching the movie isn't really relevant because the claims that the movie is making is what we're looking at, right? So we don't have to watch the movie to like know the claims.
Exactly.
We just have to like know the claim being made, and then we can investigate the claim. And it seems like the claims that the movie is making is founded upon really weird stats and stuff like that. That even some of the people that they're like sourcing or citing even goes, yeah, you can't use the data that we provide in the way that they have, and get an accurate conclusion from what they're describing. Like this data isn't just meant to be used in this way. So
That didn't make any sense.
what do you mean that didn't make any sense?
It just didn't make any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I don't know what didn't make sense about it. Can you please tell me what didn't make sense about it so maybe I could explain it?
I mean, I just didn't understand you.
Oh, okay. So let me reiterate then. So basically, True the Vote and the director of the movie made a claim that there were at least 2,000 mules that were paid to illegally collect ballots and deliver them to the drop boxes, right? The
That's
thing
not
is
the
that
claim they made.
that is the claim they made. That's the name of the movie. That's what the movie is set out to prove.
Well, again,
right?
if you watched the movie, you would know the actual claim.
Can you lay out the claim in like a paragraph or maybe a sentence for us?
Yeah, I've said it several times,
Type
but
it out,
apparently you
please.
don't listen.
Just so we're clear.
So it's So they took data from 2,000 people who they believed to be mules.
Okay.
It
Wait,
wasn't there was at least
Did they
2,000
explain
mules.
why they believe these to be mules?
Yeah.
And what is like the explanation?
The explanation is it's in the data that they
Okay,
What
collected.
data?
but the data that they have isn't.
It's
It's
the
flawed.
video footage of
No,
them
that's not the
putting
data that they
several
got. Wait,
ballots
hold on. That's
in one
not the
ballot
data
box.
that they use. That's like evidence to kind of show it. But the claim being made is that that there's at least 2,000 mules that were paid illegally to collect ballots and deliver them to switch the 2020 election. I don't know what sentence I said made you think that I said otherwise. But obviously, I guess you're just not listening to me. Um, but also too, the people that they collected the data from even went back and said, "Oh, this is not the type of analysis you can use this data for, and it is highly unlikely that the conclusions have any basis in fact." And this is the person who runs senior communications at this company that they collected data from. So I don't know why on earth you would ever be like, "Oh, well, they're just like, the data is true. The data backs up my sense." And also, too, the videos don't necessarily even prove that any of these people were mules. It's just showing people dropping off multiple ballots, which isn't illegal. So I don't understand.
It
I don't.
is
I don't.
though.
What
It's
part of it is legal?
Dropping an absentee ballot off for several people at once.
So if we could show that dropping off multiple ballots is not illegal, at least in some states, would you say that this documentary doesn't prove anything?
Do you have that?
I'm asking you first.
Um, you have
Does
proven
it
to
matter if
be
I have it?
you have
The
proven
answer
to be
should be the
very
same, right?
dishonest.
is that the
You have proven to
goalpost
be
that we're
very
setting?
dishonest, and so I'm not answering until you answer
Here,
me.
wait. Is that the goalpost that we're saying? Is that if we could prove that in some states, especially the states where the documentary says that this happened, that is a legal practice for people to be able to do, would you accept that there's no evidence then for voter fraud?
Say that again.
Okay.
If there's if you
So if
if you
we can
provide me
prove, if we can provide evidence like law or anything like that that says that it is illegal for one person to drop off multiple ballots in the states that the movie claims it's illegal to do so in, would that be enough evidence to you to show that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud?
I would like you to do that, but I don't think it would. I don't think that would specifically make me say, "Oh, there wasn't voter fraud," because that's just
Why
Okay,
would
but
that?
would
that's
it
just
would it
one
make you
thing.
agree that this documentary doesn't show any evidence of voter fraud then?
No, that
Why
that
not?
specifically would not. No.
What else in the documentary do you think shows evidence of voter fraud? If we could specify that like dropping off several ballots is okay.
Well, again, we're going from point to point. I would like to stick with this. Like, do you have this? Do you have the? Uh, do you have the law saying that it is legal to drop
Does
off
it
as
matter
many
if I
ballots
have
as you
it?
want?
Shouldn't the answer be the
Yes,
same?
it does. Actually, it
Wait,
matters.
so
It is the only thing that matters right now.
wait. Okay, so let's say in a hypothetical world where it's legal to drop off multiple ballots for a different person, wouldn't that mean that the film doesn't show anything? It's a hypothetical. So if you say yeah, that doesn't mean that that you're like getting owned or whatever.
Okay, say. I'm trying to read this chat while you're
Okay,
talking. You're
so
talking
yeah,
very
so
fast.
let's say that we could verify that at least some states allow a person to drop off multiple ballots from a different person. Wouldn't that mean that the documentary doesn't show evidence of voter fraud?
No, it does not mean that it
Okay, why
shows
not?
that does not show voter fraud.
Okay, so what other suspicious points do we look at for then if not that?
Are you gonna show me this law?
Depends on. I mean, you're not going down the hypothetical. I shouldn't have to show you a law. It's just hypothetical, right?
The reason he's not showing you a law is so you don't move the goalposts immediately.
Yeah.
That's interesting how you bring up moving the goalpost.
Why is that?
Let's look this up. Election laws, Arizona. Let's just go with Arizona. Let's go with absentee ballot laws.
Are we looking at Arkansas
No,
or
Arizona.
Arizona? Okay.
It's let's see. I'm looking at vote411.org. I don't think this is what we're looking for.
Okay, I found on Ballotpedia, 12 states place limits on how many ballots a person may return on others' behalf, and Arizona is not one of those states. So most states do not have an actual numerical limit on how many you could submit of another person. So from what I can see here, it looks like dumping off like 10 or so ballots like you described wouldn't even be illegal. Like we can't verify that that's illegal. Do you find anything else on the Arizona mandates and stuff?
I'm still looking on this website.
Okay. Okay. Did you think Ballotpedia? Is that the same thing I did?
Yeah, I'm at Ballotpedia right now.
I posted Arizona's ballot harvesting laws in the chat.
Okay. So, assuming this is a comprehensive list that I'm looking at here, that would mean that Arizona does not. Wait, is this the same thing we did? Oh. Wait, you found Arizona stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Under the sections of limit additional restrictions by states, the limits on number of voter ballots. 12 states place limits on how many ballots a person may return on others' behalf, or on how many voters for whom they return ballots. So it goes from Arkansas to West Virginia. Arizona is not in the list. Therefore, that means that Arizona does not have a maximum limit to how many people could return voter.
Hang on, where are you looking? Are you looking at this link that you just said?
Yeah. Wait. The one that doesn't say Arizona. I'm gonna screenshot this and then the part that's important that I'm looking at, and then you can scroll to it. This is on ballotpedia.org, so not a government entity, but organization. Yeah, so they're listing all of the limits on the states, and of 12 states, Arizona isn't in those states, which means that Arizona doesn't have a maximum limit for that. Like I was saying earlier, like the states can vary wildly, and like this is just proof of that. Some states don't have limits at all, like Arizona, which is one we've been talking about the most. So even if someone on camera were to deposit 10 ballots, like that's not illegal by default. And so having a video camera of someone putting like 10 ballots in a ballot box isn't evidence of voter fraud. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like you would need more than just say, "Hey, that's 10." Therefore, greater than 1, that's it. Like, wouldn't you agree there are more criteria we have to meet in the videos in order to show that it was voter fraud?
Well, yeah, you would need to um you would need to prove that uh that the ballots given to them are
Okay.
are either stolen or dead people or not
Right, but
real
wouldn't you
people.
agree that's very hard to do with just a video?
Yes.
So, like, why would we think this video is evidence of voter fraud? Like the whole documentary, right?
Again, like I brought it up as as a interesting thing to bring up to
Well, it was your
that
foremost
has
point. I
one
think it
that
was your
has
best
one
argument.
proof. It was a recent thing that came out, and that was
Okay.
started this whole discussion.
Okay, but like, wouldn't you agree that these videos don't have evidence of voter fraud then?
No, I
Why
think
not?
that it has
Okay,
suspicious things in them that
okay, but right. So
need to
you
be looked
say,
into.
well, even if you say, "Hey, that's suspicious," does that qualify as being evidence of voter fraud?
Again, it needs to be brought to a court of law to be determined if it is
All right, sure.
or isn't. But it is
They haven't
definitely
yet.
proof of
They ought
something.
to. They haven't
It is
yet.
evidence. It is
Evidence
evidence
of what?
nonetheless.
Evidence of what?
It was not my main point. It's literally we were you asked if there was like a recent thing that I wanted to talk and
Okay.
you say yeah this was a recent uh this is a
Okay,
recent documentary
but
at least and
so
it has
wait, just to
m- m-
clarify, I asked you
many of
if
those
you
videos.
think this is so. Is that a yes? You think the documentary does provide evidence of voter fraud?
It it is it is data that contains
Okay, when you
evidence
say
that would
data,
be
do you mean
it is evidence that in my opinion can be used in a court of law.
wait, like what would it show in a court of law? Do you think?
Well, if the claim is that these people uh are being paid to do this,
Right?
that's illegal.
Sure, but like, what is this evidence? Well, I guess you call it evidence. What are the videos of these people dropping off ballots have to do with that? Like, how would that show things? What evidence would that show?
Sorry, I'm sorry. You talk very fast. Can you say that
Okay.
again?
Yeah. So like, let's say someone's getting prosecuted for the accusation that they were paid to deliver fake ballots. What role or what evidence? What role do the videos have as evidence? What do they show that might be used in a court of law? Do you think?
Okay. Well, okay, that's a very good question. So, so let's say the claim is uh Bill
Okay.
whatever, I don't know. Bill,
We'll just call him Bill. Yeah.
yeah, was paid to drop off I don't know 100 ballots, 10 at each ballot box by by blankety blank
Joe Biden
organization.
himself. Yeah.
Sure, Joe Biden himself, and he was given these ballots from this organization,
Mhm.
and so he goes to each location and each place he has to take a picture of each of the ballots going
Wait, why does he
into
have to take a picture?
as proof that he went there and dropped the ballots off. That
Oh, are we saying like this is like
yeah,
the agreement from
this
Biden
is
himself?
this is the
Okay.
agreement for him to get
This is
paid.
the instruction manual. Yeah.
Yes, for him to get paid, he has to take a picture of each at each polling location of the ballots that he's dropping off to put into the ballot boxes. Uh, and so these videos, this is evidence of the backup of that claim
Wait, to back up the claim that
that he
they
went to these
were
polling
instructed
locations
to. Okay.
and he's taking pictures of them. Now it is not evidence that this polling location itself gave him those ballots
Wait,
specifically.
Wait, I don't
But
think that
it is
counts as
it is
evidence.
evidence. It is evidence of him doing that.
So if we could somehow establish that he were given those instructions, like in a court of law, then yeah, it might be relevant. But like, I don't think we could ever get something close to that, right?
Well, what if it's there?
So what, like in the hypothetical, like we say Biden comes forward and says, "I told this man to stop 10 ballots at every drop box in this large circle in this county, and I told him to take a picture of every time he did it." Even then, in a court of law, just knowing that the man took a picture of these ballots would that's nothing. That's nowhere close to like beyond reasonable doubt that he was committing some felony or crime. Sorry, not felony.
Well, who wouldn't be? The person dropping the ballots off, or
That'd be
Biden?
nowhere close to like evidence. Like this just shows that a person dropped off some ballots, which, as we established earlier, like is allowed under Arizona law. The part where he's breaking the law, there's no evidence towards that in the videos. And since the documentary doesn't seem to source any of the data they used to where they got these videos from, like we can't verify any of that. We have no other data to go off except the videos. And the videos, if they don't prove anything, mean the documentary is useless, right?
Well, so the data itself.
Wait, just real
Just
quick. When you say the data, do you mean the videos or like the
yeah,
ACLED data?
like the raw videos, like the
The
raw data.
videos. Okay.
Uh, if it were to be used in a court of law, doesn't it stand to reason? Now, I am not a lawyer, so I don't know. But if that is the compelling evidence, doesn't it stand to reason to keep that uh to yourself until it is brought to the court, so that so that the defense attorneys and other lawyers who are on the other party, the opposing side of the suit, or whatever it is in the court, um, doesn't it stand to reason you would not give them that raw data to make their arguments for? So you want to keep it. You
Sorry,
want to keep as
I'm
much
not
as
sure what you're
possible
asking.
for yourself. You want to keep as much evidence to yourself as possible, so that
While also
when
like
brought to the
publishing
court,
videos to like the entire
I
internet.
mean, yeah, you can publish uh like what do you call it? Like
Wait, but
previews, previews of
why
your
wouldn't
evidence.
they just put that why wouldn't they just put the evidence like linked in the
Well,
documentary?
like I said, I'm
Wouldn't
not a
that
lawyer,
be
but
like I don't think that poses any issues, right? Like you still the evidence is still if it's in public domain, you still have the evidence. Like it's still then that just guarantees that you won't lose it, right? Because like we've been talking about people losing flash drives and stuff earlier. I don't know.
well, that and that's a good point, and I was frustrated. I was trying to find the raw data as well, and I couldn't find it. But the point that the date, like the in the documentary, it has the videos. So like obviously
Okay.
they do exist and they do have them. It's just they haven't
No,
released
they
them
have
yet. So
videos of people that they think look suspicious. We, it, NPR checked with the ACLD, the senior director, confirmed that they hadn't apparently spoken to the company, and also that the company, like the ACLED, the program, it can't even be used that way, like according to the senior director. So like it seems like they can't have even used the data they're claiming to use, but they're not showing the data they use. So we have no reason to believe that they actually use ACLED to find these people. They're just showing videos, which we have no way of confirming are found by ACLEDs or anything about them. We're just given like I suppose 3 or so videos, and they mentioned they have 2,000.
well, like I said, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. But wouldn't you agree that this documentary does not present evidence of voter fraud? Would you agree with that?
I I cannot agree to that,
Why not?
because I do not agree with that framework of that question.
Wait, let me type it out. Just want to clarify. So this statement, the documentary does not show that voter fraud was committed. Would you agree with that?
I don't agree with the framework that you're making that statement from.
What are you talking about? Framework? Okay, yeah, Mason worded it better. So the documentary does not prove that voter fraud was committed. Would we agree with that? Is that a yes or what?
The documentary itself does not
Is the if you
is not
say
it does it do- it
if you
it's
say
not a
no to this
judgment, no.
statement, right?
It's not a it's not
What?
it's not a decision in a court of law, no.
Okay, so outside of legal, do you think the documentary does prove that voter fraud was committed?
It's very compelling.
Okay, but like we established that these instances could be legal, right? Because
Again,
you can already drop off multiple ballots.
again, that would that's that's assuming these people are not getting paid to do so,
Well, yeah,
and
but
that
why
these
would you assume that
ballots
in the first place?
uh are
Okay, so let's
not
say if they are,
arbitrary.
what would this documentary prove that they are?
It's it's very compelling and would make me want to look
Why?
into it.
Okay, so yeah, you might say, hey, that's suspicious, but then what would you? I don't think you would use that in a court of law to show, like, it doesn't show anything. This points you to something just to look at, like, maybe, hey, maybe I should investigate this. It looks a little weird, but it doesn't prove that there's any voter fraud happening, right?
Well, okay, so you made a just a passing thing there. Yeah, this looks a little weird. Maybe we should look into it.
Right.
I thought
But
this
then
was
it
the
would
most secure election in U.S. history.
it was
Well, then why would we need to look into something? Because it looks kind of weird.
because it's the most secure in election history. Of course, that doesn't mean there aren't cases of fraud. Of course, there are cases of fraud. There were hundreds, maybe thousands, but there were millions of votes, and there are state legislatures. There is a federal level. The FBI has to investigate all of these claims as well. There are huge organizations
So
and
how
chains.
many claims did they investigate and look into it previously from now?
Sorry, what?
How many investigations did they have of voter fraud before now for this election?
Are you saying, like, how many cases of voter fraud existed before the 2020 election?
How many cases of voter fraud did the FBI investigate before 2020?
I have no clue.
Okay, well then how can you say that this was the most secure election in history?
They made a joint statement on it.
Who did?
Let me pull up the people involved. The Election Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council, the CISA, the National Secretaries of State, and other subdivisions.
Right.
Right.
Did you help them with that?
No, did you?
No.
Why would you ask?
I don't know. It sounds like
Do you think? Are you
pretty
suggesting that I
confident in that.
have to? Are you suggesting that I have to see every instance of voter fraud in order to be able to verify that they happened?
No,
I don't know why you bring that up then.
I am uh questioning what your confidence in these people that you have no idea their actual motives.
It's several.
Okay, hold on. I hope I'm hearable on OBS right now. Oh my god. I only deafen because holy shit, they're not getting anywhere. It's just gonna be, bro, like, it's just compelling evidence, bro. Like, it's just compelling. That's literally all it is. And then Musky's gonna be like, oh my god, like, there's actually not evidence. It's not compelling. And then he's gonna be like, I don't know, bro. I kind of find it compelling. It's just there's no evidence. Also, apparently Musky's gonna know. Time to deafen.
Okay. So is there any government source I could show you that you would just not wave off as being possible propaganda or something?
Not wave off.
As in, is there any okay? Is there any government agency who I could cite as having investigated something that you wouldn't say is just, hey, they could have lied about it?
uh, unless it's like a private investigator.
So, like, if I could show you if I could somehow show you every government agency, like FBI, CIA, CISI, every investigation shows no significant level of voter fraud, would you consider that evidence?
Again, like if it's coming, like, look, I
It,
do
well,
not trust the government for
well, surely you
anything.
can understand that I don't trust this conspiracy theorist like DeSouza, right?
Sure, sure. You don't have to. As much as I don't have to trust the government.
Okay, but like, wouldn't you agree the government in its entirety of organizations
I'm
has
gonna
more
do it.
resources than this producer?
I'm gonna
Well, they for
unmute.
sure have a lot of resources.
What reason have you to believe that like a
But you could,
collection of organizations would lie about it?
but what does it gain a man to to uh to own the entire world and lose his soul?
Money. I mean, this guy has
Well,
been like already
Babies.
arrested for
you
like
could you
like
could
campaign
you
finances.
could literally own every single resource in the entire world. That doesn't mean that you're correct in what you're saying.
So,
So
what does that have to do with this?
that's your entire argument. Is that the government has a lot of resources as opposed to Dinesh?
Wait, so you're saying they could be lying to us? There could be a worldwide conspiracy covering something up. Therefore, we shouldn't trust them?
Yes.
That is so stupid.
I wonder what could also. I wonder if that could also apply to any other like.
Yeah, wait. I
organizations
can
or
just
people
say, what
dedicated.
if DeSouza is actually scamming you? He wants to give, he's actually working for the deep state and he's trying to reduce public trust in the election. Therefore, we shouldn't trust him.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's a stupid thing to say, right? It makes no sense.
Well, point being, even if it's not a stupid thing to say, you can say it about both like sources, or really any source that you could think of, right? So it's like to make the claim that the source isn't valid because of this or whatever.
The
that's
possibility of them
something
lying, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then everyone's a liar. So don't trust anyone.
Literally true. Wait.
But that's what you were saying, wasn't it? What?
Okay. What Iliako is saying is that is something, but yeah. But so that is actually why I brought up 2,000 Mules to begin with. It's just literally just the camera footage that I was bringing up.
But the
Okay,
camera
and
footage,
we established that it
so
doesn't
many
prove anything.
qualms.
I thought we established that.
Again, like all
It's
it
just
is,
compelling, bro.
it's 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 suspicious activity that needs to be investigated, and it is evidence that it is suspicious activity, that at the very least makes me un it not confident in the election.
Okay, so maybe we've gotten to the point where maybe we don't actually have like evidence for fraud or whatever, right? Or maybe there's not solid evidence for fraud at least. But you could be uncomfortable with the election due to some suspicious behavior. Is that what you're saying? Are we good?
That's from the data that I've provided so far. Yes, that's
Okay, cool. I think the argument's over
the
then
claim
because
that
it's
I'm
just going to be like, oh, this is compelling. And it's going to be like, I don't know, it's not. And we're going to keep doing that about the same like sources that we talked about. So, yeah, I don't know if we can really get any further. Unless anybody else has any points to bring up. I might just be wrong, but I don't
well
think
again.
I am.
Is
I
there
would like
anything
it was
outside
was
of we discussed?
did you
What?
do your whole presentation? Because I was
I did not.
that's what I was waiting I just
Okay.
wanted to see
Well,
your
the problem
presentation.
is that the presentation is just a rebuttal of a bunch of pretty common
Yeah,
arguments. But
dozens of
if you're
claims.
not making them, like, there's no point bringing up the
Yeah.
presentation. Be like, hey, look at these claims other people make about fraud. I'm gonna rebut them to you. Like,
Oh, well, there are some things I could bring up.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like mail-in ballots are not a fairly they're not a fairly recent thing. About 26% of the 2016 election ballots, about 26% of the ballots in the 2016 election were mail-in ballots, and about 42% in the 2020 were mail-in. So it's not that much of a recent thing. That's a 62% increase in mail-in ballots. It's like not a really recent um, emergence of mail-in ballots. There are a lot of court cases dismissed. There are over 50, actually. I think it was 55 court cases that got dismissed by the Trump administration's prosecution because they couldn't provide any evidence of voter fraud, not in mass, not in specific cases either. And many of these judges were actually appointed by Trump himself. So, like, if there was some worry of like bias or whatever, like that settles that. I actually got a big the AP list. I think all 55 of them. Let me check that.
Well,
Yeah.
so like the list of the articles, that's not necessarily like what's unless that is your entire presentation, then
No.
okay.
These are just the opening points I'm talking about. Also, the Brennan Center. This is based on previous elections. The evidence we do have. It reviewed all known cases of voter fraud, and they found incidence rate of between 0.00004% and 0.0009%, and commented that when it comes to instances of voter fraud, it's more likely that someone will, or sorry, that an American will be struck by lightning than they will impersonate someone at the polls.
Right.
This is a 2007 comprehensive look at voter fraud for the Brennan Center for Justice. I also want to point out that the election was probably under the most scrutiny out of any point in history. I mean, Trump made claims months in advance saying that there were going to be like fraud, for like cases of fraud. Let's see, the quote he said was, "The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged." I saying this month in advance. And I also want to point out that a lot of things you find online might just be trolls. Like I know, I guess anecdote is a really bad way to say it, but I have seen some cases in which leftists will just troll Republicans by pretending to do voter fraud just to mess with them. So that's a lot of isolated incidents could be attributed to that. Outside of the 2000 Mules uh, documentary, I know there are a lot of cases I can debunk. You didn't bring up any, so I guess that's good. I feel like maybe there's some way we can further go down the 2000 Mules route. I don't know. Is there anything else we want to talk about then, like outside of or even outside of or even inside of the concept of 2000 Mules? Is there anything else you want to discuss?
I mean, I've kind of exhausted my energy of this topic.
Okay. Sorry, I called you stupid.
That's fine.
Okay.
Nice. All right, listen, I'm gonna stop recording now, okay? Because there's nothing more of interest, okay?
All right.
All right. Yeah, you guys are not interesting
Thank you
people.
for the debate.